We would like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. Welcome to Gheesh, the Indigenous children's space at Millennium Library. This recently renovated space was created by Woburn Collaborative, an Indigenous-led design studio based in Manitoba. Through their design practice, partners Destiny Seymour and Miriam Griffith take a critical look at representation of Indigenous cultures within the built environment. Some of the design elements that will immediately draw your eye include a natural forest color palette, including tones of greens and browns. The star blanket design can be seen in the carpeting, and medicine wheel design can be viewed by the reading garden windows. The tree with an upholstered bench and hanging canopy includes a plush carpet area within an oval for babies and toddlers to play. Métis floral beadwork design can be seen in the lounge sofas and drum stools, and the carved bookshelves have wild strawberries and plants and flowers carved into the panels.
So welcome, Destiny. We're so excited to have you here during Indigenous History Month to talk about the Gheesh space at Millennium Library. Could you start by telling us more about yourself and your background as a designer?
Sure. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Destiny Seymour, and I am an Anishinaabe interior designer. My family is from Peguis First Nation and also Seymourville, Manitoba. It's north of Pine Falls. And so I am based in Winnipeg. I started Indigo Arrows about in 2016. And that was after working at a local architecture firm for about 10 years. But during that time at that firm, I struggled to find, fabrics and products that I could put into projects. And so in 2016, I left that job and started my own company. And so it was a little scary because it was mainly making tea towels in the beginning, learning how to create fabrics and how to take your ideas and turn them into a product that you could hold and see and put into a space. And so I've been doing that for a while, and eventually it evolved to not only home decor and commercial products like the drum stools that I do, but also becoming an Indigenous design consultant. So being able to come in and work on spaces like this, commercial spaces, so in libraries and schools and daycares and offices.
This space has received such positive feedback from the community. Could you talk more specifically about this space?
This space, okay. So this space started, it was trying to combine a number of different areas and activities. So looking at young play, so we have the tree all over in the corner. And so looking at how we can get kids engaged and playing with books and looking at books. And then we have this little path that connects this area. And so I look at this star area as sort of a larger gathering space. So looking at bringing in, one of the activities was bringing in visiting elders or even just storytellers, authors, and also providing a lot of furniture for older folks like parents and grandparents. And so we were able to design several of these custom couches, and then having stools that kids can move around and create their own little smaller groups. So it's always so fun designing for kids because you just want to see what kind of play areas you can create. Also trying to create storage for books that's also interactive for kids. So you'll notice there's panels there with floral patterns, and it's eye level with smaller kids. So when they come up to the bookshelves, we don't see them right away as adults, but the kids right away are interacting with the shelves, and then they get to the books. And so, yeah, it's always fun designing bookshelves as well. And then it leads into a smaller, more intimate space back there. And it has the medicine wheel in the flooring, so that when we do have visiting elders, they'll know where the cardinal directions are directly by the floor itself, and then they can go into storytelling there. And so it's really nice, and we have it kind of like tucked away by the window. And so I'd say 2012, this was a project that we did with the library, and I really wanted to bring this and incorporate what we did here with the star.
Could you also talk about your inspiration for some of the more detailed elements, such as the fabric and the carpet design?
Sure. So one thing that I'm really excited about with this is that we were able to incorporate commercial grade fabrics, and these are custom fabrics. So when I first started, I still silk screen designs onto fabrics, but again, they're not commercial grade, so they would wear down quite quickly in this space. So this fabric here, you can wipe it. It's very durable. And this pattern itself was a collaboration that I did with another artist, and her name is Cassandra Cochran. She's from Treaty 3, and these are beadwork patterns. So she provided the template, and it was just a matter of taking her beautiful designs and then adding color to the patterns. And so, yeah, we were able to, so there's 3 different colors. So on the couches, we have like the teal color. And then on the drum stools, we have like the more of a dark background, a charcoal black background, and then a gold beige fabric. So there's 3 different fabrics. When I first started, again, we were using blankets. I was using blankets on stools. But then the patterns weren't from Manitoba, and they weren't from, I guess, this region. So like Treaty 3, Treaty 1, like looking at these territories and how do we revise some of these patterns or bring these patterns out into our everyday spaces. And that's kind of like one of my passions. So yeah, I'm really excited to see it. This is the first time I've seen all the furniture together. So yeah, very exciting.
And you have quite a history here working at Millennium Library. Could you tell us a bit about the different spaces that you've worked on in the library?
Yes. The first time that I worked here, it was, I'd say 2000 and, oh my gosh, 2007, maybe 2008. And I didn't graduate yet. I was still a design student, and they were asking for a flooring design and I think some furniture. And that was my very first time doing like a space, like a public space on my own. And so I remember we had the medicine wheel, but we also had like little animal paw prints in the design. And yeah, it was so fun. So that was like the first one. Then I was called back to do another art piece, and it was these pendants that are above us, and inside are like public art done by children. And so these can be taken out, and it's very interactive, but it just allows like kids to also feel like have ownership in the space, and they can come and see their artwork. And the artwork, I remember it so clearly because I said, okay, the theme is community. What can you paint something that to you is community? Like, what is home to you? And this little girl was painting, and it looked familiar. And she was painting this building, and she was, coloring it red and white. And anyways, it was Shoppers Drug Mart, and she was painting Shoppers Drug Mart. And she said that's where her and her mom spend time together after work, and they can go shop around. And it was just, I don't know. So, and there was also like, I think someone painted the moon and a star, like a astronaut. And so they're all so different. But that's, yeah. So that was a really fun one. The third one that I did was on the second floor, and it was the adult literature section. And yeah, I got to work with another interior designer and come up with like a really unique, I guess, another gathering space. Lately, I've been doing a lot of gathering spaces. And then this one came, and it was quite a bit larger and different pieces to it. And right from not only the space, but also like all of the furniture inside the space. So I think this opened last fall, and it's almost summer and I haven't seen it yet. So it's nice to be here. Yeah.
Oh, great.
So why would you want to specifically work with libraries as a designer?
I think that, especially children's spaces, I'm a mother, I have 2 little girls, and, when they see these fabrics and patterns in our home, they, to them, it's just normal. They're like, oh yeah, this is, pottery from 3,000 years ago, like no big deal. But like for me, like as a designer, I didn't see like these patterns. I didn't grow up seeing these patterns. And, a lot of times we only see these in we only see them in museums, and so I just feel like it's time to take it out of the museum and like really celebrate them and get kids talking about them and seeing them. And so I think that's one of the big things as a mom, to be able to see this and to see. I remember the first time in 2008 when I designed these big bookshelves, and the problem was, one of the comments was, well, these bookshelves are too big, like we don't have enough Indigenous authors to fill them. And I said, well, then that's a great problem. Like we need to find them. And now like that's not even a comment now. And now we have so many books that can be displayed, and that's so like how many years later? So, so that's, I see a big difference already. But yeah, I really do love being able to design like public spaces. Yeah.
So in that line of questioning, where can people see more of your work in a public space?
Yeah, so I do a lot of commercial spaces. One of them is for the University of Winnipeg, and it's called the Abajijiwan Media Lab. And that was a really fun one to do because it's an Indigenous, I guess, led space. They have these amazing women that run the space, and it's looking at taking our traditional crafts like beading, birch bark binding, but also combining it with technology. And so you can actually, it's open to the public. You can go there. You can actually book the space if you need like a meeting room. So we created like another kind of like I guess a teaching space. But my clients, they also wanted an area for breastfeeding for kids, and so it's not only like it's within like post-secondary institution, but it's now looking at how the needs of women in our workspace, in education, and making sure that we can involve like our children in spaces. And so I got to just do little stools again, and create custom shelving and lighting, and so that's one of the spaces that I really enjoy doing. And then a lot of offices, and looking at how we can bring in patterns on the walls, and
And can you talk about how your design has changed over time?
Being able to work, I don't do a lot of residential, like very few projects for that, but I design for residential with my work. So the patterns itself, like just trying to make sure that I work closely with my dad. And so, when I'm developing a pattern, all my patterns are named in Anishinaabe. I give my dad tobacco, we work together, just looking at, where the patterns have come from. And I just love being able to like have him work together with me. And he was like part of this as well. How we use florals and strawberries, and like just all the teachings behind that.
Thank you so much for coming, Destiny. We're really excited to have you in this space, and happy that you were able to see it all together.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We invite you to come see the space for yourself. Visit winnipeg.ca/library for hours of operation.